Welcome to Crime Scene and our continuing look into the 1984 murder of Nanette Ellis. Today we're going to be checking out Nanette's injuries and how she actually died, and we're going to have a look at the crime scene, meaning the house and everything in it, where everything was. I spent a lot of time trying to do this little diagram, so please come check it out. Okay, so today we're going to go through Nanette's injuries and also the crime scene, basically her house and where all the blood was found and other items in the house were found. So first we're going to use this picture here. It's the back of her head. It's the clearest one I could find. I know it's got short hair and Nanette had longer hair, but you know, this will do because if it had longer hair, it would probably just get in the way. So one of the injuries was a 3 centimeter wound below the left ear directed downwards and forwards for 7 centimeters. Another injury was a 2 centimeter wound below the right ear directed downwards and forwards for 6 centimeters. The other injury that she had was a 2.5 centimeter wound in the skull, and another injury, a 2.5 centimeter wound through the left hand. Now here is what these wounds did to her. The wound behind the left ear cut her internal jugular vein and the left side of the larynx. She had bleeding into the tissues and the air passages and lungs, which I think explains why there was no screaming. I don't think she would have been capable of doing so. The other one on the right ear cut her subclavian veins with massive bleeding into the right chest. So with 2 stabs, this person already did a lot of damage. I don't think, I'm not a doctor and I haven't asked a doctor this yet, I probably should, but I'm assuming that such damage to her larynx and her jugular vein, that she would have been expired quite quickly. And the reason why I even say that is because when we look at the crime scene, that's going to come up and I'm going to ask you what you think as well. So remember these injuries and what it actually did to her. The wound in the skull, it pushed a chip of bone into the meninges. I think it's pronounced meninges, but I'm not sure. Don't worry, you know what I'm talking about anyway, even if I'm mispronouncing. But there was no associated brain damage with this wound. And the one on her hand, that severed the 5th left metacarpal bone. That's the pinky, and that was probably her putting her hand up to protect herself. So those are the injuries that Nanette sustained. 3 stab wounds plus a cut through the left hand. So in a very short amount of time, this monster has done quite a bit of damage to her. She's got her jugular vein cut. She's got the left side of the larynx cut. She's got bleeding into tissues and the air passages and lungs, and she's got bleeding into her chest. This would have just been terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And it made me wonder, because I think that the one on the left-hand side must have been done first when she was unaware and didn't know anything was happening, because that's the one that went in the deepest and made the bigger wound. So I'm guessing that that one was the one that was done first. Maybe the one on top of the head, I don't know. But then the 2 centimeter one on the right hand side, I think maybe would have been done when she had already been stabbed. She kind of moved, and so it didn't go in as deep. And the reason I'm saying this is because if the left stab wound in her neck was done first, how lucky is the killer that they got her jugular vein and her larynx in the one fell swoop? You know what I mean? Is this somebody who has never killed before? Because that's not lucky for Nanette, of course. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for a murderer. If I'm a killer and I'm going in to get somebody and I want them dead, to get that jugular vein and the larynx straight away, it makes me wonder, was it somebody who just had a problem with her, or was this somebody a little bit more professional? I know I'm just going on now and making assumptions. A lot of this is just assumptions, of course, because even after reading the coroner's report, a lot of the stuff is very vague. And I'll point that out as we go along and have a look at the crime scene, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But a lot of the things, even though it's kind of detailed, there's a lot of things that you go, okay, well, where was that supposed to be? And I know that you're probably thinking, what is she talking about? But I'll get there and you'll understand just a minute. Okay, because now we're going to go on to the crime scene. Now, this is Nanette's house. I had a picture of it that was to scale, but it was so blurry, it was unusable. So I just drew this. Of course, it's not to scale, but you get a general idea of where everything is. This is the drawing that I did of the house, but with words in it. Okay, so I've showed where the car is here. Okay, this was the front door here, and you've got the lounge, kitchen, dining. Now, all of the descriptions in the coroner's report, they said stuff like southeast bedroom, north wall, western wall. You know, it was all north, south, east, west. And so I'll just let you know, that's north up this way. This is south down this way. And so this is east towards Manuka Drive. And that's west, of course. And the reason why I've written Nanette's room here is they said the southeast bedroom had the bed with the outfit on it that she was going to wear that night. So I'm assuming that that was Nanette's room. Now, I've just written boys' room and boys' room there because they don't indicate which one was Craig's and which one was Greg's. I don't really think it matters. But yeah, just in case you're wondering why I just put boys. Now we're going to go through this from the top as the forensics guy made his statement. Now he says when he gets there, he saw the yellow Toyota Corolla sedan that had been parked on the gravel driveway north of the house, right here. He said it was locked, and there was, go next one, there was a small blood stain between the rear bumper and the near side tail light assembly. So blood got outside the house. It was on the car. Okay. The next one talks about going inside, and he mentions that there are some slate tiles as you enter the house, and then you go up a 150 millimeter rise to a carpeted floor. Now, there was a blood spot on this as well, on the slate tiles. So they collected the blood stain, and they collected a sample of the slate as well. Okay, now in the lounge room, which is here, they mentioned there was a servery to the kitchen on this wall here, right there. And against this wall, north of the servery, right here, there was an Expo air rifle and a small rounder's bat. And we've talked about that before, how she had those weapons by the front door there. That's where they were, right there. They said the lounge room consisted of a heater, a television along the north wall, that's here, TV. 2 pieces of modular lounge along the east wall, so right here, and a stereo unit on the southern wall. So stereo right there. So also along the southern wall, east of the hallway entrance, so that's right here, were 2 pieces of modular lounge with a further 2 pieces connecting at 90 degrees, creating an L-shaped pattern. So that's the lounge. Now, this is where I was talking about where some of it can be vague, because this is the wall they're talking about, okay? But this L shape could also go like this, like that way. So I didn't know whether to put it like that way or like that way. So I don't know for sure. I can't say that this is exactly where the lounge was. The reason I put it here though is because they said they got a blood stain from the back of the lounge. So I figured it would probably be more likely that the lounge was here and the blood stain was, you know, on the back of the lounge here, rather than the L shape being here, because then you're either getting the blood stain on the back of the lounge that's up against the wall, or you're getting it from over here, which I thought was less likely. But let me know if you think it's more likely, where you think the lounge might have been. If you knew Nanette and you know exactly where the lounge is, then please let us know that, because that would be really great, and I'll change it. But that's where I just assumed it was. So once again, making assumptions. Okay, the next part says, on the floor at the northern end of this lounge was a tuft of hair. So that's right there where that comb is. A blood stain was collected from the rear of the lounge, 700 millimeters from the tuft of hair. So there, if we're putting the lounge in the right spot, that's where it was. It's got on the lounge suite next to the blood stain was a blue jumper. So there's the blue jumper there. So the next thing, also a bit vague, it said on the wall that separated the kitchen from the dining room, so this one here, was a single blood stain that was collected along with a sample of the paint from the wall as well. But once again, they say this wall, but they don't say if it's on the dining room side or on the kitchen side. So that's why I've splattered it right in the middle of the wall, because I have no idea which side it's on. So next they're talking about the kitchen. Now, on the western wall above the kitchen bench, so right down here, it's western wall, was a 4-knife holder. We all know what a knife holder looks like, right? One that had 4 knives in it. Well, here it had 3 knives were in their holders, and the largest knife, the 4th knife and largest knife, was on the kitchen bench next to 3 apparent spots of blood. Now, it says here, and once again, I don't know this for sure because this could have been left out. I don't know why it would be. I really don't know why it would be, but I could, you know, things happen like this all the time, because even this report, it's full of spelling mistakes. I mean, they actually misspelled one of the witnesses' names at one stage. So they do have a few spelling mistakes in here. This could have been accidentally left out. Maybe it was left out of the forensic guy's report altogether, like to begin with. I don't know. But if it isn't a mistake, then I have to wonder what the hell is going on, because it said that the blood stains were collected, but it didn't say anything about the knife being collected. I mean, when you go into a house where a horrific stabbing has just occurred and there's blood all over the house and there is a big knife. Now remember, the person has been stabbed with a knife multiple times, and there is a big knife out of its holder sitting on the bench next to blood. Why on earth would you not collect that knife? Like I said, it could be just a mistake here. Someone's just left it out by accident. Pretty big mistake to leave out by accident, but you know, people are not always great at their jobs, are they? So we don't know. But I thought that was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Who doesn't take the knife that's sitting next to blood on the kitchen bench in a house where someone's just been stabbed? So like I said, we don't know if that's true or not, but it's totally missing from this report. Anyway, let's continue. Go down to the hallway. Now, in the hallway was blood-stained hair fibres. Right there. Found in the hallway, 750 mils from the lounge room doorway. On the western wall, directly above the hair fibres, were bloodstains in the form of droplets. Right here. All the bloodstains were angled slightly south and towards the floor. Further along the hallway, just south of the entrance to the bathroom laundry areas. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Before we go on, when I first showed pictures of Nanette's house from when it was for sale, and they showed a couple of the pictures in there, we saw the lounge room and we saw, I think, the kitchen. We couldn't really see how you got into the laundry. You could sort of see up the hallway, and it looked like there was a door on the right, which now I'm thinking may have been a linen cupboard, but wasn't sure if she went into the laundry through here or if there was a door through here, because we couldn't see. But now that I see the actual layout of the house, there's a little, I don't know what you call that, like is it a vestibule? Like a little space anyway, and the bathroom, toilet, laundry comes off of that little kind of square space, whatever you want to call it. All right, so if the police are right and Nanette was attacked here at the entrance to her room, and then she went through the laundry, which, considering she was on the porch and there was blood through the laundry, it's probably true that she did go through the laundry. Then she did go through there. Now, at the time, when I didn't know if the door was over here, I couldn't understand why she wouldn't just make a straight shot down to the front door, either to grab the weapons or to run out to the street. Couldn't really understand until I actually found out what her injuries were. Because like I said, with her injuries, I don't think she would have got far anyway. But I was wondering if she had like come out here and gone through there, and why she would do that instead of going to the front door. But now that I see that the laundry door is actually here, then I was wondering, why would she go that way and not that way still? But that's why I was saying that it could have just been panic. I mean, she was being stabbed. She was having blood filling up in her chest, and she probably couldn't breathe with her, with the air passages and everything being damaged. So I'm sure she was being murdered. Of course she's in a panic. Even without those injuries, she's going to be in a panic. It's ridiculous. So maybe that's why she ran out the laundry, just in sheer panic. Or maybe she did try to go down there and there was another person there. Or maybe just the one that was killing her just wouldn't allow her to go down there. I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in, that, yeah, I know where the laundry door is now. Okay, so back to this. It says, just south of the entrance to the bathroom laundry areas was an area of blood-stained carpet. So I'm guessing right about there, blood-stained carpet. A sample of the blood was collected. On the western wall adjacent to the bloodstain on the floor were a series of bloodstains in a spray pattern. So right here. The height of these bloodstains, though, was only 29.5 centimeters from the floor. So that's only, less than a school ruler up the wall for a spray pattern. You know what I think we need to do? I think we need to go and actually start throwing some fake blood around and see what we get, because that seems a little bit low to me. Anyway, we'll keep going. At the southern end of the hallway was a brown jacket. Right here. Brown jacket found. That's the one that Greg said that he thought was, I think he said he thought it was a towel, but it later turned out to be a jacket. Okay, there were further smears of blood on the western wall of the hallway directly above the brown jacket. So this blood was all smeared. Now, this is another one that I didn't know if this was correct or not, because I've put the wardrobe here, but it actually says that there were drops of blood, this here, sprayed over the wardrobe on the western wall of the southwest bedroom. So this is the southwest bedroom. Now, this would be the western wall. So the wardrobe would be here, except it then says the wardrobe was in view of the hallway. So that didn't make sense to me, because if you were standing in the door here, then yeah, I guess you'd see the wardrobe. But if you're standing here, you probably wouldn't. And so I would not describe that as in view of the hallway. If I was standing in the door, I would not describe that as the wardrobe was in view of the hallway. I would describe that as the wardrobe was in view of the door. But then what isn't when you're standing in a doorway? But I certainly wouldn't think that that was in view of the hallway. And that's why I put it there, because I thought that must have been a mistake. Maybe he meant eastern wall of the southwest bedroom. I don't know. More questions. Like I said, no matter what I do with this, I mean, I started out with a bunch of questions. A couple have been answered. But every time I do a video, I have more questions and more questions and more questions. So it's getting a bit out of hand. But there was a piece of wood missing from the western door jamb of the southwest bedroom. So right here, wood missing, I have put with an arrow. So, yeah, missing piece of wood. Well, it wasn't missing because it was found there, but it was missing from the door jamb. The piece of wood was there with a hair fibre attached, and it was on the carpet at the base of the door jamb next to the brown jacket. So the wood's been ripped off in the struggle and hair is attached to it, and it's been left there. Okay, so the door to this bedroom was open, to Nanette's bedroom was open, and directly opposite the brown jacket in the hallway. An impression similar to that of a heel of a shoe was found in the door, 190 mils above the floor level. And that's the shoe, I've put a shoe there. They don't say if it was Nanette's shoe or anything like that. It doesn't really go into that. Just that a cast of the impression was taken. So they said in here, the bed in this room was situated along the western wall. There's the bed. And a patterned dress and a red blouse lay across the top of the unmade bed. A radio in the room was on and tuned to 3AW. It says that the door to the laundry was off a small recess in the hallway. So apparently that's called a recess. Okay. It says the entrances to the toilet and the bathroom were also off the recess area. There were bloodstains on the eastern and western door jambs of the laundry door, right here. The bloodstain on the eastern door jamb indicated that the blood-stained object had apparently struck that door jamb. So this bloodstain here on this door jamb was hit with a blood-stained object. The knife, I'm guessing. The height of the bloodstain on the east door jamb was 1,358 mils, and the height of the bloodstain on the west door jamb was 1,344 mils. There were further bloodstains on the laundry trough, washing machine, floor, and rear door. Now, I put the trough and the washing machine here. Doesn't mean it was there. I don't know because it doesn't say where it was, but blood was found on both of them, on the floor and on the rear door, which I've put here. It says a number of these bloodstains were smears. So I'm guessing that was Nanette making her way through the laundry and kind of rubbing up against stuff as she struggled to breathe. It says the body of the deceased female was lying on a raised concrete porch which sloped north along the western wall of the house. Now, it doesn't say where she was exactly, but I've put her head here only because Greg said he came into the laundry. He only took a couple of steps into the laundry, but he could see his mum's face. So I have to think that her face was kind of in line with the back door, or else how would he have seen it? So that's why I've put her there. It doesn't actually say in here. It does say that she was lying at an angle across the porch and was partially covering a metal clothes horse. The top rung of the clothes horse had been bent inwards. The deceased was lying on her back with her right leg bent backwards at the knee. The right arm was lying alongside her body and the fingers were clenched. The left arm was bent at the elbow and the partially closed hand was resting on her left breast. Her head was lying on its left side. She was wearing a blood-stained blouse, denim jeans and brown boots. The belt around the top of her jeans had been undone, as well as the top button and front zipper. The blouse had been tucked tightly into the jeans. And this says there were bloodstains on the blouse under the top of the jeans. How'd they get there? I don't know if they're talking about just the little bit that's exposed because she has the button and the zip open, or if they're saying that there was blood on the shirt under the jeans in another place. It doesn't really go into detail, so I guess that's another thing that we just have to assume. It does say there were minimal bloodstains on top of the jeans. And now that I'm reading that, there were minimal bloodstains on top of the jeans. Does that mean there was bloodstains underneath the jeans? I don't know. They're not very clear, are they? It says the deceased's face was covered in blood and there were wounds to the back of her neck and left hand. There were also bloodstains on the outside of the laundry door. There. A sample of the blood was collected from that door. And bloodstains were located on the ground in an arc around the deceased. Samples of that blood was also collected. They also did an extensive search of the grounds surrounding the house, adjoining properties and stormwater drains as well, and nothing of evidentiary value was detected. But that's not everything yet, because there was also on the fly screen at the front door, there was a fly screen there, there were 2 blood stains, 1,320 mils and 1,250 mils from the floor level. They were on the fly wire screen opposite the handle, and those samples were also taken. They also took the radial tyres that were in the backyard, the ones that had been slashed. They took swabs from the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, and an external drain. They also took a pair of shoes from Nanette's bedroom and an empty pack of Winfield 25s from the lounge room table. So that's it. What do you think of this mess? Because reading it is one thing, but then putting it here like on a visual diagram, it's like, what's going on here? I mean, I understand all this, right? There's obviously been a struggle, maybe even here, struggle, all down the hallway, in through there. But what's with the blood all around here? So blood being outside and the blood being on the car, obviously this was not Nanette bleeding. I don't think she would have lasted that long. Given her injuries, I think she may have died quite quickly. Not quick enough, obviously, but I think that she would have died quicker than what would have been needed to go running all through the house here. So I think that obviously she's been attacked outside her room. That's what the big spot on the carpet's all about. And the spray and all that sort of stuff. So that looks like where it's happened to begin with. And she could have even been fighting with him down here. But I don't think that she would have gone into the lounge room. I think she's gone through the laundry, and I think that's where she's expired, right there on the porch. Well, I know that's where she's died, on the porch. But I mean, I think the fact that these were all smears, and these were smeared as well, is probably her kind of trying to make her way out as well, which means this blood, this blood, this blood, this blood and this blood, I think definitely indicates that the killer left through the front door, for starters, because if you left through the back door, this shouldn't be here. But the next question that I have is it Nanette's blood and it's been coming off of the knife as the killer's been running around? Or is that some of his blood? Because all of these blood samples were taken. And if any of these are the killer's blood, that means the police do have his DNA. And obviously nothing's come up over all these years. So this starts even more questions, doesn't it? So what do you think? If you're watching this, can you let me know in the comments what you think? What do you think happened here by looking at all this? And now that I've done this, I'm going to start splattering blood everywhere to see how it could have happened. Because like I said, was it these ones that I said seemed very low? The spray seemed very low. Whatever, I'll go through it and have a look and do some experiments. I also want to do an experiment of how long it would take to slash the car and do that damage to the car. Because remember, she had 2 tires that were slashed twice. She had 2 tires that were slashed once, probably with something like a screwdriver. Someone's bent the aerial, or snapped off the aerial, depending on who you listen to. The windscreen wipers have been bent back. The license plate number has been taken off. Now, I don't know if you have ever tried to rip a license plate off a car, but I actually have. I have tried to rip a license plate off before, and I slightly bent it, and that was after a lot of huffing and puffing. I never actually got any of them off. Let's face it, I'm not a strong person, okay? So maybe a stronger person would have done a better job at it, but I was pretty angry and giving it a good heave-ho, and I never managed to get either of them off. I did manage to slightly bend the number plate. It's harder than it looks. So I'm thinking with the license plate, with the slashing of the tires, with the aerial, with the windscreen wipers, I don't think this would have happened in just a couple of seconds. And it's literally there in the driveway, right by the road where anyone can see. So I'm going to go into that more detail. I'm going to do a little bit of experiment and run around, do that, and see just how long it would take to actually do that. I've got an old car in the backyard, and maybe we'll start bending stuff and ripping stuff off. But anyway, that's it. Have a look. I've got a lot more videos coming because, like I said, every time I do one of these videos, I come out of it with another 20 questions. So have a look. What do you think happened here? Why do you think they didn't take the knife? That's one question I really want to know. And why do you think there's so much blood out here? Could that have been the murder weapon, that knife in there? Could she have been stabbed with her own knife? Because that is totally different from a killer coming to the house with his own knife because he's totally prepared versus a killer who's using the victim's own knife. I think that's two different kind of mentalities. But that's it. Comment in the comment section if you have any insight into any of this. I'm really interested in hearing what other people are thinking about it. And if you don't worry. Like and subscribe, and please share, because we really need to get this solved. It's been nearly 40 years and all these people involved are getting way too old. So let's do something about this now. Like, subscribe, share. I'll see you in the next video.